All right, class, we're going to be looking at Module 2, building a database and defining table relationships. So in 2.1, we'll learn the guidelines for designing databases and setting field properties, create a table in design view. We'll define fields, set field properties, and specify a table's primary key, modify the structure of a table. We'll change the order of fields in design view. We'll add new fields in design view, and we'll change the format property for a new field in the datasheet view, and then modify field properties in design view. So in your textbook, we're on page 51. We're picking up from where we left off with Riverview database. So again, it kind of builds upon itself. So if you turn over to page 54, some of the basic guidelines for designing a database, you need to identify all the fields needed to produce the required information. And in figure 2.1, you can see that based on what we're asked for this specific database, these are some of the requirements. We need to organize each piece of data into the smallest usable part. We need to group related fields into tables. And you can see that was done in figure 2 too. So basically the information the data we need, we kind of broke that into specific tables. We also need to define each table's primary key. We need to include a common field in related tables. And we need to avoid data redundancy. So when you store the same data in more than one place, that creates data redundancy and is unnecessary. And you can see an example down in figure 2.3. And then the last thing is to determine the properties of each field. And we'll kind of go through that in this module. So guidelines for setting field properties, naming fields and objects, assigning field data types. And in figure 2.4 on page 57, it lists all our specific data types. And if you remember from previously, when you actually go to create your table, you kind of define the data type in. And you can always modify once you have created that. So of course, short text, date, time, currency, yes, no, hyperlink, those are some different, some of the common data types available. Field, setting field sizes. So typically, if you remember, if you look up in 2.4, for short text, you can have up to 255 characters, which means if you don't limit that, then anybody putting information in, there could be a typo and they insert 50 characters, which is not usable. It just creates, uses up too much space. So defining specifically the number or the size of the fields that you need is important. Also setting the caption property for fields, and as we'll see is when you create your table, the field name cannot have any spaces in it. But your caption, which is kind of like a display name, if you've ever done anything with web browsers or like a mouse over on something where it kind of displays and tells you what it is. So this is kind of the same concept, but you should be able to put spaces in using captioning properties. On page 59, we're going to look at creating the table in design view. So we're going to open up Riverview, and I currently have mine open, so this would be wherever you had it saved. All right, again, this is your navigation pane on your left. You can see the specific objects that we have from previous work that we've done. And from here, we're going to select the Create ribbon. From there, we're going to select Table Design. All right. And you can also see here, if you remember what I told you previously, this button lets you toggle between each of the views. And so whatever view you're currently in, which is, this is the design view, the opposite view is available here. So you can go, this shows you can just click on it and go back to datasheet view. And then, of course, the icon for design view is kind of like your ruler, pencil, and the triangle. So what we're going to do is look at defining fields. When you first create a table in design view, the insertion point is located in the first row's first field name box, ready for you to begin in defining the first field in your table. So this is where we're referring to. So here we're going to type in invoice num. And again, remember, your actual field name cannot have any spaces. Okay, we're going to tab over. From here, we're going to select our specific data type, and you can see there's a drop-down arrow, so you can select the different types that are available. And from here, what we want to select is going to be short text. Okay, and then we're going to tab over. And then in step 4 on page 61, we're going to type in primary key. One thing to note here, by typing in primary key, that's only a description. It is optional. That does not make it the primary key, so we will do that in a later step. So we're going to tab down. So excuse me, let me go back to here. So if I click again in our invoice num, we have our data type. And so what we want to do is come down to our field properties here at the bottom, and we want to change our field size from 255 characters to 5. So we're just going to click in this specific cell and type in a 5. And then we're going to tab down to the caption, which is located right here, and we're going to type in invoice space num. And so this is the only location where you can have a space located in your field name. Here in the actual table, there's no spaces. The caption is just kind of a display name, and you can put it there. Okay? All right, so next we're going to tab. We're going to select our second field name. So from here, we're going to type in visit ID, no spaces. We're going to tab over. We're going to tab one more time. We're going to use short text. And then we're going to type in foreign key. Okay, from there, we're going to change our field size to 4. All right, and then we're going to tab down till we get to caption. We're going to type in visit space ID. Next, we're going to do our third row, which is for our field name, and we're going to type in invoice amount. We're going to tab over. Here we're going to change our data type to currency. So we're just going to select the drop-down arrow, select currency, and then for description, we're not going to put anything. So down in our field properties, what we want to do is we want to specify. So we have currency. Decimal places are what we're going to do. So we're on page 63 in step 4. It's set to automatic. So from here over to your right, you can see there's a drop-down arrow, and it tells you the number of decimal places. So we want to select 2. We're going to tab down to caption, and we're going to type in invoice amount. Okay. Next, for our fourth row, we're going to type in invoice date, no spaces. For our data type, we're going to start by selecting a D, and you can see it has the autocomplete. So one of the options is date and time, so we're going to select that. Okay. And then here we're going to come down to our field properties. And so for our format, now we're going to select, so if we select the drop-down arrow, you can see there are multiple options. There's a general date, long date, medium date, short, long time, medium time, and short time. And then on page 65 in your book, it gives you specific details, a description of those. So what we want to select is going to be the short date. All right, and then we're going to tab down to caption, and we're going to type in invoice date. And let me go back. So I did select the wrong one for format. So here, Give me 1 second. So we want to select the custom. Okay, so what we're going to do is, instead of using the drop downs, you can do a manual. So we're going to do the 2-digit month, 2-digit day, and 4-digit year. So you can create your own custom. Okay? So again, 2-digit day, 2-digit month, 2-digit day, and 4-digit year. Of course, we typed in invoice date with a space. Next, in our 5th row, we're going to type in invoice paid. Okay. From there, we're going to start typing in a Y, which means a yes/no value for the data type. And it kind of completes that for us. All right, so for caption here in our field properties, we're going to type in invoice paid. Now, on page 67, we're going to look at specifying the primary key. So to specify the invoice num, which was our first field value, what we're going to do is select. We're going to select that specific field value. And then here under our table tools, which is a contextual tab, you have your design. There's a button for primary key. So once we select that, you can now see that this indicates that this is the primary key. So if you remember from what I said previously, just because we typed it in the description does not make it so. You have to actually select the primary key under table tools to make that the primary key for this specific table. All right, so now we're going to save. So on our quick action toolbar here at the top, we're going to select save, and we're going to call this billing. And we're going to select OK. All right, so now on page 69, we're going to look at modifying the structure of an access table in Design View. So we want to position our pointer on the row selector for invoice amount. So here, your arrow turns to pointing to the right. So if we select, now what we want to do is we're going to click the row selector to select the entire row, which is what I just did. And now what we're going to do is kind of drag and drop that specific file so it appears between invoice date and invoice paid. So now that it's highlighted, I'm going to take my mouse, and once it's in the pointer, I want to put it between invoice amount and invoice date and invoice paid. So if we drag it, you can see now there's a dark line, and we're going to drop. What it did was move that. So you can change the order of your information in your table simply by dragging and dropping. You can delete and add, so we're going to go to those steps next. So next we're going to look at adding a field in Design View. So we're going to add add the invoice item field to the billing table. So we're going to click on Invoice Paid field. All right. Next, on our Table Tools Design tab, under the Tools group, so here we are under Tools, we're going to click Insert Rows. So right here under Tools. Okay. And so what it did was add a new blank row. It inserted one right above our invoice paid. So in step 3 on page 70, we're going to type in invoice item. We're going to tab over, and we're going to use short text. Now, instead of manually taking our mouse and clicking down into our field properties, you can use a shortcut key by pressing F6 on your keyboard. Okay, again, any item up here in your table for your fields, if you press F6, it takes you down to the properties. So from here, our field size box, we're going to change it to 40. We're going to tab down to our caption, and we're going to type in invoice item. And then on page 71, you should see all of the current fields that we should have any descriptions that we've defined. And so from here, we're going to select Save, and then we're going to close our table, our billing table. All right, so next we're going to look at modifying field properties. We're going to change the format property in datasheet view. So if you remember, what we've done so far was in design view. So basically what this shows you is that you can make changes in datasheet view as well as in design view. You can be more specific in design view by limiting specific values as well. So on page 72, we're going to modify the visit date fields format property. So here again on our navigation pane, if you've had it minimized, you can always expand that. We're going to double click on visit, which is the table we created previously. Now we're going to click on the ribbon for table tools fields, which is here. So we're going to select fields. All right, we're going to click in the first field value in the visit date. Okay. So from here, under format, what we want to do is click on short date. So again, we're under formatting. All right, so we have our specific data type, which is date and time. So here under format, we're going to specify that we want a short date. Okay. Okay, next we're going to look at changing properties in design view. All right, so on our table tools here again, in the views group, we're going to click view button, and we're going to change it to design view. So here again, over on your left, what we need to do, again, this is the view that you can't see, so this is the option, which is design view. We're going to select design view. And then what we're going to do is we are going to make some changes for our primary key. So for visit ID, what we want to do is tab over, and we're going to type in primary key as our description. Now we're going to press F6 on our keyboard to take us down to our field properties. Again, F6. All right, now we're going to change the 255 character field size to 4. We're going to tab down to our caption, and we're going to type in visit space ID. All right, next we're going to select visit date. And then here what we want to do is press F6, and then we're going to tab down to caption. And we're going to type in date of visit. So this just goes to show that it doesn't have to specifically say, so this says visit date as far as the actual field name. Our display name or our caption is going to be date of visit. Next, we're going to select reason. We're going to select F6. We're going to change our field size to 60. We're going to tab down to caption, and we're going to type in reason / diagnosis. Okay, and then offsite, we're going to press F6. I'm going to tab down once and type in off-site space visit question mark. Okay, and from there we're going to select save. Now, the reason that it's asking and telling us that some data may be lost, if you remember, the visit ID was set to 255 because we did not define that in the beginning. It's telling you, so basically what will happen, we have changed that value to 4. So anything after the 4th character is going to be lost. So it will take the first 4 numbers. Anything after that, it would delete. So it's always good to make sure you have a backup of your database before you make any kind of changes like this just in case you've accidentally did a typo, had the wrong information, because once you actually make the change, the data is gone and you cannot retrieve it anymore unless you have a backup. So we are going to select yes. All right, so we're going to go back here to view, and we're going to select the data sheet view. Okay, and so you can see from here, based on our captions, we have visit ID, animal ID, date of visit, reason/diagnosis, offsite. So in order to see everything, we're going to select our table selector and make our columns the appropriate size. All right, so from here, we're going to close. We're going to select yes to save, and that ends Module 2.1.